been debating a while on doing this video about racism. By the way, I realize the lighting is terrible here in this video. It's nighttime, yes. I'm sitting on my back porch. But it doesn't really matter, because my skin looks dark, doesn't it? Not as light as it usually does. Literally, what does that even matter? What matters is the message, I feel that what matters is the message that I'm trying to get across is that I wanted to take the time to do a video concerning racism and how ludicrous and ridiculous I think it is and what it's morphed into. Yes, there are certain elements of society, certain groups of people who have been persecuted. I don't really think that there's one race, to use the modern sense of the term, from the earliest 20th century on, that hasn't been persecuted at one point or another. I can't think of one. It's like when someone feels pain, all right, everybody feels pain differently. Everybody cognizes it differently. What hurts you might not even make me blink an eye. But what makes me scream might not even make you lose your, breathe harder or anything. You might not even flinch. It's a case-by-case basis. What I can tolerate might drive you insane, or vice versa. It's the same thing with groups of people, how this group of people feel that they, should have this special treatment because their ancestors, this and that happened to their ancestors. Of course we honor our ancestors and what's happened in the past. We must recognize that and learn from it. I feel that in order to learn from it, you don't perpetuate it and carry it on, because this certain group of people hurt, tortured, enslaved, took advantage of your ancestors, should not predicate the way you treat me, or vice versa, because now you're just perpetuating it. And telling this group of people or that group of people that they can't go into a certain venue because of their skin color, or that that group of people shouldn't use this certain word because of their skin color, that only this group of people can use the word because of their skin color, they're privileged. That's ridiculous. To me, it's stupidity. It's perpetuating racism. Whenever I see on social media someone bringing race into it, like BLM, that's racist. Right? You got the Black Panther Party, whatever, Black Power. What is the difference between that and someone that's white saying white power, or someone that's purple saying purple power? I mean, seriously. Yes, we have to remember the things that happened in the past. All the more reason not to perpetuate these things. These stereotypes. And it all comes back to the grammar. It all comes back to the language. What language do we use to convey certain things? And I'll get into that later on in the video. But what language do we use? One thing I will mention later on in the video is there's certain groups of people that use the word bitch supposedly in a positive way to refer to females. But they also use it in a negative way to refer to females or males. That doesn't make any sense to me. How is that a term of endearment in any way, shape, or form? It's like the old chestnut calling children kids, baby goats. I mean, come on. Seriously. The more you think about the words you use and the grammar you use, and the more you're aware of it and conscious of it, and more cognizant of the words you choose in conveying what you're conveying, the more you are a steward of your fate. And in turn, that will spread out exponentially into the fate of others and the way they communicate, because maybe they'll start thinking about the way they communicate. But perpetuating these stereotypes and these grammars and languages is just not getting us anywhere. I don't see it. I don't see it. So I'm going to do a deep dive into the word racism, race, racist, and those types of things in this video from a grammar perspective to show you exactly what the original root meanings of these words are. And I think you'll be surprised. To begin our study of racism, let's look it up. Let's parse the word racism. And what I mean by parse is look up the particles of the word, the syllables of the word, the roots of the word, the earliest nativity root meaning of the word at an etymology dictionary. Anytime I'm having a discussion with someone that's serious or has weight to it or value to it, first, as in, simple rudimentary judge mechanics, rule 1, rule equal, I'll establish for myself if they know what it is they're talking about. Say, well, do you know what this word means, the word that you're talking about? And if they start saying, well, I think it means this or that, then I know they don't know what they're talking about. When you look it up and go by the rule of thumb using the earliest nativity root meaning of the particles, you get a sense of what the word originally meant, not what it was modified into meaning. Now, that's not to say you can't use words and their modern meanings in everyday conversation. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying when things get serious, in a serious discussion, there really has to be, in my mind, a geometric level playing field where everyone can meet and communicate on. And one of the ways to establish that is to use this mechanic of using the earliest nativity root meaning of a word particle, so that we all can agree, hey, one word, one meaning is a positive performance thing. Because why would you want to communicate with words that mean several different things? You're never going to know what anyone's talking about. That's why I'm going to look up this word racism. And as you can see on your screen right here, it says by 1928 in common use from 1935, originally in a European context, racial supremacy as a doctrine. See racist and compare it to the various senses. Race, racialism. So this is a fairly recent development. Just like racist. 20th century development. Okay? So let's look up race. There's a particle of the word. And this is the one that they're deriving it from. The second one. People of common descent. 1560s. Okay, so we're back a little bit earlier now. A little bit earlier. 16th century. However, we can go back further than that. Oh, look, here, 1200. To rush. Akin to the source of race. So what's that? Act of running. 1300s, okay. And look what we found here. The earliest one, the Proto-Indo-European meaning, to be in motion. To be in motion. See error. Go astray. Lose one's way. Make a mistake. Transgress. From Proto-Indo-European root ERS, be in motion, wander around. Angry, straying, astray, error, deception. So basically, racism, race, is a moving deception. It's a mistake. It's an error. Basically, it's no contract. So what are people arguing about when they're arguing racism? They're arguing about nothing. Now, I know racially charged things are certainly not nothing in the real world, where people are assaulted and get shot and murdered and killed over these types of things. But this is where it comes from, okay? This is where it comes from. To rave, to rage, okay? Another way to put it would be racism would be a contract with not moving. So when we go back to the earliest nativity root meaning of the word, it's a no contract particle of negation, race. So racism, as you can see here, is no contract. It means nothing. It's a particle of negation in and of itself. So why do you think people get so upset, so emotionally attached to this word? It's such a trigger. It's one of those trigger words. Not only that word, but also the what we'll call the N word. Now I realize that this N word is a very sensitive thing. That's why I'm not even saying it out of consideration. To me, the word is just a word. Okay? I mean, in Spanish, it literally means black. It's a color. Okay? Now, using your logical mind, I ask you, how is it logical that one group of people can use this word, they can call themselves this word, refer to one another in this way, but yet another group of people who look different than this first group of people, they can't use it, and that this group of people takes offense and gets very angry if this group of people uses that word, and they get really offended when this group of people calls this group of people that word. Why do you think that is? When you think about what racism is, in the modern context of the word, not in the manner that I just showed you, but in the modern context of the word, where if you look it up in Black's Law Dictionary, one meaning would be that one race is disadvantaged over another race or something like that. You know, group of people by the color of their skin, whatever that is. That one is favored over another one. So that would be, you know, like this, you know, what happened back in the 50s and 60s. This group of people are not permitted to go into this restaurant location because of the color of their skin, right? They're not allowed to go in there. It's not a place for them. They call that racism. What is so different about that? And this group of people are not allowed to use this certain N word, but this group of people are allowed to use it. How's that any different than that situation? The very act of saying that this particular group of people cannot use this word, or it's offensive when they use it, but it's not offensive when this group of people use it, and this group of people it's okay that they use it. That's racism. When you are favoring one race over another, that's racism. Flat out. And again, this is what I think, and this is my opinion, that the culture that we've been programmed into, the authoritarian culture, especially certain segments of the culture, have taken these words and flipped their meanings and programmed, basically turning what was once considered to be an insult into something that's a compliment, or it's a friendly thing. I'll give you an example, an old example. When you look at teachers or even parents, they call their children kids. Kids. Did you bring your kid today? What is a kid? Right? Everybody knows it's a baby goat. I'm pretty sure everybody knows it's a baby goat. So we're calling our kids, you know, baby goats. It used to be an insult. Now it's a common thing. I see it in emails from schools where the schools call their students kids, baby goats. Now that might be a benign example, but let's go into another example. And I'm going to use the word this time. Nowadays, some people think that it's a term of endearment to call their friends, especially their female friends, a bitch. Right? What is a bitch? It's a female dog. There are some cultures where the females call each other this word. They're calling each other dogs. How, in any sense of the word, does that make any type of logical sense, for lack of a better term? That you're using this type of thing that was used to be an insult, and now it's a term of endearment. Some of the men call the females this word, bitch. I don't understand that. But this is, in my mind, and it's, again, this is my opinion, that this is the programming that has happened within this culture to cause division, and maybe as a sick joke. I don't know. I don't know if it's a sick joke or not, but in my mind, that's a very good possibility. I debated over and over again whether to do this part or not. As you can see by my screen, where I'm going to go with it. But I figured, why not? Why not go, as Gurdjieff used to say, whole hog, including the postage? First, I'm going to say a couple things about racism, that it is not exclusive to one particular culture or skin color. As I stated at the beginning, I don't know of any race that hasn't been a victim of racism being perpetrated towards them. I myself experienced it, and my children experienced it in Arizona from people who came, immigrants from Mexico, were racist towards myself and my children. So I think everybody has experienced it at some point in time. Now again, as I mentioned before, everybody experiences things differently. Some people feel that they have more of a right to claim that, people being racist against them than others. But then again, if they claim that, then they're claiming they want to be treated differently. And when you want to be treated differently, what's that called? Favoritism, prejudice. If we genuinely want a Rule 1 rule equal geometric level playing field of contract, that stuff's got to go. There's no favoritism. There's honor and grace. Case by case basis. But anyway, so all different races, cultures, skin colors have had racism perpetrated upon them at one point or another. Whether you're from the Middle East, whether you're from Africa, whether you're from Alaska, whether you're a First Nations, a member of First Nations, China. I mean, geez, I've known, actually quite a few people I've met from China who have shared with me that their country is very racist, in the sense that the lighter your skin color you possess, the better you're treated in China. The darker your skin color, the more you're looked down upon. Same thing over in Europe, by say Russia, Kazakhstan, places like that. I have some friends from over there that have, Arabic roots. I mean, they don't have dark skin, but they have Arabic roots, and they're looked upon as inferior because of that by the Russians. or Ukrainians. These are first-hand knowledge stories I'm sharing with you from friends of mine whom I trust and I love that have shared these things with me. And I'm sharing them with you. You can take them as you want. You know, again, this is a video of opinion, but I'm trying to illustrate the point that just about everyone has, can, or will experience this racism that I'm talking about. So let's go into the parse here. Start out with this word nig. Circa 1300, it means a stingy person. So it's kind of a negative condition of state. An abbreviated form of that word right there, which I will, as I've been, refer to it as the N word. Okay? Foolish person, mean or stingy person, miser. So this just means the ARD basically means contract. We can distill it down to contract. It's one of those suffixes that means contract. So when you go to the rest of this word, you add the suffix ER, man who has to do it. Then you go back to NIG, which means a stingy person. NIGGER basically means, going by the earliest nativity root meanings that we have available to us, just means having a contract with being stingy. Okay. So let's go to the word in its entirety. Okay, Spanish, as I mentioned before, I don't know if that part's going to come before or after this part. Negro, Spanish, just means black. Very simple. Okay. Let's look that up. From the 1550s, means black. From the Proto-Indo-European root, NEKW-T- means night. Okay. Obviously having to do with the skin color. But at this point, it is not used, to me, apparently, it's not used in any type of derogatory fashion. And again, when you look at the racist part of the video where I parse the word racist or racism and race, that meaning only came into use in the early 20th century, I think. So anyhow, let's get someone else's viewpoint on this word. Someone who has standing, who one would guess would have standing on this. This individual is named Eazy-E.
Now, if a white person walks up to Eazy-E and says, "Hey, nigger,"
depends on how you said it. Like, you say, "What's up, nigga?" then that's cool. But if you just say, "Nigger," then I'm gonna take it different. I might be over there, you be pulling me off of it, you know?
Now, if a white person...
Okay, so I'm not sure when this exactly was. Maybe in the early 1990s, perhaps. But I remember when this was happening. I graduated high school in 1990, and you know, this is the type of language that was being used, and just exactly the way he said it is the way most people looked at it. But then as time went on, it changed, and now I'm going to play a video. Now again, you know, I caution you on the language. If you're squeamish about language, don't watch this part. Okay, this is someone who claims to be a member of the LA gang, the Crips. He's very popular on YouTube. I believe I've mentioned it before. His name's Crip Mac. And by the way, this has no connection whatsoever to this shirt I'm wearing. I am not as I've mentioned in multiple other videos, I am not affiliated with anyone. No thumb clubs, no thumb communities, no gangs. anything like that. I am not. I am peaceful and neutral. I just realized that I looked in the camera, I saw I was wearing this shirt. So here we go. Listen to what this guy says in relation to another YouTuber that he's been having a back and forth with. The YouTuber's name is Milk74. And the Milk74 just happens to be white. But watch how this man refers to him. First, I'm going to set it up for you. First, he refers to him in a derogatory fashion, like very derisive. I think he calls him a white boy, you know, like that. And he does that a couple times, and then he proceeds to call him the N-word. It's just like I talked about in the other sections of this video. It's very confusing, and it makes no logical sense to me to be talking like this. This does not do anything but perpetrate hate and racism.
It's Milk TV. It's fuck you. You custer ass, scrawny ass, inactive ass, white boy on neighborhood crib. I'm gonna get my increments. I'm gonna do my motherfucking thing on hood. These tattoos ain't never coming off. And yeah, the courts don't play fair. People don't play fair. So what? By 4th of July, let's go ahead and keep it 55th Street around a couple days after on hood. I'm going to go ahead and get the best what they got going on, cuz. And guess what? CAC 5 County Jail on neighborhood crib, up 5, the penitentiary. On a turnaround, cuz. On hood, I ain't going to see it gone that long. On neighborhood crib, guess what? I'm still going to have these tattoos. I'm going to still program. I'm going to still gang bang. I'm going to stay the same. I'm going to never go Hollywood. Milk, quit playing with your motherfucking self. You can never survive in my motherfucking shoes. And let's go ahead and keep it 55th Street. 600 was never the manager. Cuz ain't got shit if I do with nothing about this management shit. Cuz got somebody higher up that's fucking cuz over and scamming everybody. Yeah, like that, nigga. On neighborhood crib. I ain't got nothing else for I say.
Okay. He's got nothing else 5 say. Just so you know, that 5, when he says 5, I guess because he's from 55th Street, anytime he says a word that has a number in it other than 5, he will replace that word with 5. If you want to go back and listen to it again, it might make more sense to you. In any case, this is what I'm talking about. The juxtaposition of the white boy thing and then the N-word thing. And how one group of people can claim a word and call themselves within that group of people that word, and it's okay. But if another group of people wants to use the word amongst themselves or towards the other group, now it's offensive to this group. What is that? Is that favoritism? Just like the restaurant analogy I used earlier about how this group opens a restaurant and they don't want this group of people there because of their skin color. Not allowed going to the restaurant. We can use the restaurant. We can enjoy it. It's fine. But you can't. You come in here, you're not allowed. It's the same thing with the use of this word. This group of people use this word. You can't use it. Not allowed. You see, it doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to bring it down to a logical perspective without being inflammatory or triggering anyone. I teach people from all over the earth, from all different cultures, races, skin colors. It does not matter to me what you look like. What matters to me is what's here and here. That's it. You don't see... Sir, okay, let's get down to brass tacks here with the N-word. You don't see individuals with this particular skin color referring to each other as, hey, cracker, you know, or hey, white boy, what's up? You don't see that. Why? Because those terms are derogatory. Hey, whitey, what's up? one person of this skin color, I've never seen it on YouTube or social media anywhere where they refer to each other that unless it's in a derogatory sense. Show me where it's used as a term of endearment. And yet, I will see videos where individuals who would be considered to be black will call someone of my skin color, hey white boy, you white boy, and it's derogatory. And then in the next sentence, they'll call him the N-word. Again, in a derogatory sense. And then they will turn and call their friends the N-word. And then it's not derogatory all of a sudden. It's a term of endearment. Or they will also use it as an insult, depending upon the inflection of the way they're speaking or the context of the scenario. This is madness, in my opinion, my humble opinion. This is madness. It's linguistic insanity. And the way to halt this, to correct it, would be to teach your loved ones, your little ones, your children, your babies, to respect females. Don't call a female a female. Don't call them a female dog or a goat, right? I think, and this is my position as a correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar tutor, of which you will find the syntax key right there. One word, one meaning would solve a lot of the Earth's communication issues, for sure. It would. I find that anyone who does not agree with the logic of one word, one meaning, whether that's in correct sentence structure or in adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction, babble, if they disagree with it, then they're trying to pull some slick shit. They want to have their wiggle room to dance around. Because who wouldn't? What type of individual wouldn't want to have one word, one meaning? That way you're always on a geometric level playing field. And you can't slip anything by anybody, because anybody can access an etymology dictionary and look it up themselves and find the same meaning that you're going to find, or someone in Australia is going to find, or someone in Ireland is going to find, or someone in Antarctica is going to find. It levels the geometric playing field of contract. And this is basically the foundation of correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. Although that takes it a step further, advancing into the mechanics of positioning facts using a mathematical interface on the grammar. But that's not the point of this video. This video is dealing with racism, which is basically a contract with a mistake. Look it up. I just did at the beginning of the video, right in front of your face. It's a contract with a mistake. It literally means nothing. And people, unfortunately, are hating each other, killing each other, arguing with each other over this. I'm not saying this shit doesn't go on. It's repugnant. It's disgusting. Judging someone on the basis of what they look like, passing judgment on them without even knowing them, that's a violation of Rule 1, Rule Equal, and that's someone who doesn't know jack shit about judge mechanics. Because what is the first rule of being a judge? It's to establish knowledge. You have to know what it is you're talking about. Now, of course, there's situations where you have to have a snap judgment. This situation goes both ways, and it's way out of control. Way out of control. The way I deal with situations like this, me personally, I don't judge people by the way they look or their skin color. I take that into consideration. I do. I take all information into consideration. But the biggest thing I take into consideration is, what are they doing when I look at them and make eye contact? What's their demeanor? Are they acting shifty? Are they acting open? Are they engaging? Are they hiding? Are they confrontational? All these things taken into consideration. And if you do that, if you're well aware of what's going on with your surroundings, situational awareness, 9 times out of 10, you'll be safe. You will be safe. And you're calm and neutral and peaceful. As Patrick Swayze said in Roadhouse, be nice. Until it's time to not be nice. But that's a whole nother story. So this was my little dissertation on racism. I've tried to give you some closure on what it means, the original meaning of it, and to show you that this is unnecessary. All the violence, all the division, all these things. If you're going to behave in a dishonorable fashion, it doesn't matter who you are or what skin color you have, I'm going to treat you differently than the way I would treat someone who is honorable and open and peaceful and neutral. It doesn't matter what you look like. As the kids say, don't start shit, won't be shit. And I'm sure you've heard this over and over again. We all bleed the same color blood. Well, I mean, except for those individuals at the Federal Reserve. I think their blood's a little different. But our blood, men and women, and yes, men and women, all bleed the same blood. We're all born and come into this world without prior knowledge of what happened before, and we all exit this world with nothing. We all born, we all die. Period. Let's chuck this racism, no contract word and put it where it belongs. In the garbage. Thanks for listening. Here I am still talking about racism. Well, I did a poll on my grammar channel. Pretty much asked people yes or no. You think it's a good idea to do this video? Should I publish it? And most people said yes. One individual said that they thought it was too late, that the programming's already been done. Now, I don't really participate with the concept of something being too late. It just means it's a different location in the now space. It is total personal perception whether something's too late. And I'm not going to speak for the collective of the earth, the collective, society of the earth, that something is too late or not too late. I don't know. I can only speak for myself. As in correct sentence structure, we only make claims for ourselves. So here I am still talking about racism. This has turned into quite a project. I was actually looking for input from a couple people, but it just didn't work out. So it looks like I'm just doing it on my own. And these are all my own thoughts with no other input. I feel like this is such an important topic that it pervades every aspect of our lives, walking down the street, walking to a supermarket, walking anywhere. It really affects every single facet of our lives. When you see someone with a different skin color than yours, when you go to a certain part of town and there's predominantly this skin color, predominantly this type of car, the houses are in this kind of shape, the lawn looks like that. It's like we're constantly looking at things and judging as we go along. Now, as far as survival goes, of course we have to use these things. But as men and women in the collective known as mankind, there has to be a balance of honor and grace. Right? So that's the point I'm trying to drive home here. You cannot make a blanket judgment and stick by that. I think it has to be a case-by-case basis. Now, of course, in now space scenarios where you have to make those quick moves, yeah, by all means, to the best of your knowledge, you make the best choice that you can with regards to others and their intentions or volition toward you. You get a feeling in the back of your neck, or you get a feeling somewhere that there's danger, you should probably listen to it. On the other hand, you have to make sure that it's not some kind of cultural cognitive bias in the back of your mind, the way you were raised or programmed or prior experiences, where you say, well, I have to really be careful around this group of people or those type of people that look like that, you know? You just have to really weigh everything, all the knowledge. These are judge mechanics, all the knowledge at your disposal, and navigate forward. You know, everyone that's watching this, well, not everyone, but most people that are watching this know who I am, what I do, and that's the way I do it, with peace, neutrality, honor, grace, rule one, rule equal. That's what I try to do. I've never run into any problems. I've actually been able to forge friendships, or at least acquaintanceship, with people of all different races and cultures and creeds and religious standpoints, just because of those three principles that I just mentioned. You know, these things stretch across all cultures. And in every culture, you are going to have those individuals who do not honor those principles, that they're just out with bad intention, bad volition, malicious volition, however you want to put it. From your standpoint, they're there to cause harm. They're there to control. They're there to get something. They're there. They don't care. They don't have any consideration for any other individuals within their immediate sphere of influence. Those people are pretty easy to identify and see. Why do you think I do the 10 to 15 minute video consultations with people? Because I can sense that. Even through the internet, through the camera and all that, I can sense that just by looking at a person's demeanor, the way they make eye contact, their expressions, whether they're fidgeting, whatever, body language, all that stuff. I can see what your volition is, because that is what is being portrayed by you. And by being portrayed, that is what you're showing. And even some things that you don't think you're showing, others can see that are trained to see it. So I guess that's the wind down of this whole thing, and what I'm trying to convey. That all of these quote unquote empowering movements like BLM, what else? Black History Month, all these different things that different cultures do because they're trying to show pride in their culture, right, is actually racist. Because if someone would come out with a White History Month, or White Lives Matter, or white power, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to be labeled as racist. Am I right or am I right? And that comes in, and that goes into the whole recent development in the last couple of years, that only Black people can claim racism, which is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. My wife is Native American, and she has been a victim of racism. I've seen it. Her people. How can you even... There is no argument here as far as that stuff goes. There is no justification for this. I don't group I don't put a blanket statement on a group of people and say that they all behave in this way. Now, you can look at different types of species of animals and say that this breed of canine acts this way, it's just the way they're built. Yes. Well, you can do the same thing with human beings. You can. Going by statistics and things like that. But the thing that separates us from canines is the ability to cognize situations and to use a correct set and structure term, to stop and correct and move forward with those three principles I mentioned. Canines are going to act the way they act because they are canines. And although they can be trained to behave differently with much work and patience, basically, you know, it's very hard to correct a dog that has grown to be an adult that has not been trained with manners or etiquette. It's very hard. It's about nearly impossible. It's not the same thing with mankind. Mankind can choose to train themselves to participate with a different modality of thinking than they were raised with, or perhaps that they developed during a certain part of their lives. I can think of one example right off the top of my head, a guy who was a hardened criminal. Went to jail for, I think it was 13 years. Totally corrected his life and is totally above and beyond a model quote-unquote citizen, right? This is possible. He's an adult. He was able to do that. Anyone can correct their thinking in this manner and go on a case-by-case basis. If I think I shared this a story about how I experienced racism in Arizona from Mexican illegal immigrants, and how I didn't get bent out of shape about it. All right? I mean, logically, it didn't make sense that you have these illegal immigrants who snuck into this country, right? And they're in this country. Why are they here? Well, because I know the stories I've heard, it's how horrible it was where they came from. So to protect their families, they move here. But then they move here, and then they hate the people who were born here. It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not going to judge them. They have their reasons. But I'm also not going to mess with them anymore. I'm not going to do them any favors. I'm going to stay away from them. Right? But I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to judge the entire illegal immigrant population based on one experience I had, or two experiences, or a dozen experiences. I'm still not going to do that. Because that's not honorable and graceful. That's not a balance there. All right, so I don't know. This is just a little something I may or may not tack on to the end of the video, sort of as a way to get people to see where I'm coming from. You obviously see the color of my skin, right? Hopefully you won't judge me on the color of my skin, but by the words and volition that you're hearing and experiencing right now. Correct set and structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar is a terrific way to balance and level that geometric field of contract. Doesn't matter what culture you are, what color your skin is, what race you are, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. It will level it. And you have to have prodigious amounts of willpower, motivation, and positive performance volition to even step onto this geometric level playing field. Because if you don't, you won't be able to maintain a position there, and it'll just fall apart around you. You can see that every day with these individuals on YouTube claiming this, that, or the third, and all they can do is tell fiction babble stories and make fiction babble claims And yet you hear all these things and there's no proof of what they're doing. No proof. Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention those individuals of this race or that race, or that group or this group, that, like this group right here acts a certain way. They have certain mannerisms, accents, inflections in their speech. And then you have this group over here who has the same thing. They have their own unique inflections and accents and gestures and things. And it gets kind of humorous when you see this group start acting like this group and this group start acting like this group. And the groups get angry at one another. Well, actually only one group gets angry that I've seen, that this other group acts like them. So, oh, you can't act like that. That's our stuff. You know, quit being a this or that, you know. A word that rhymes with trigger but starts with a W rather than an N. It's all silly, childish things to me. To me. I understand that there are people getting killed and beat up and assaulted and all kinds of problems around this stuff. It's silly. There's no reason for it. Adults, at least the way it used to be that I remember, it seemed that the majority of adults, normal everyday people, were able to coexist with one another, go about their daily business. If they didn't like each other, so what? They were still able to walk down the same damn street without getting into an argument or anything like that. Now, of course, the people that, what we'll call the powers that be, I mean, follow the dollar signs, my friends. Follow the dollar signs. You'll find that every single education program comes back to these people. Textbooks, college textbooks, every bit of information you're fed, just about anywhere that you can get information, has had these people's hand in it, okay? Every war, everything. And it's up to us to be able to see through this stuff, because what we will call correct knowledge cultivation, correct education is out there. It is. You just have to have the tools to be able to discern what that is in line with your own moral compass, or however you want to term that. It's there. Nothing is hidden. Because if it's hidden, then it doesn't pertain to us. Who cares about it? If it's being hidden or classified, then that means someone wants to have an advantage over you. It means that someone is probably, if it's hiding behind a paywall, someone wants to make a buck off of you. Someone wants to control you. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty simple. And racism is just one method of control and division. Just like religion, politics. To my knowledge, it's all a big control mechanism to get people to do this, that, or whatever, you know, that the powers that be want you to do. And the minute you shed that, you begin seeing things in a different light. And you start going on a case-by-case basis. And you'll see what happens next. All right. Thanks for joining me. Hope you liked it. Questions, comments? Leave them in the comments field. Thanks. Peace. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it provided some clarity on the subjects mentioned. You can email me at the email address that's been screened at the bottom of your picture for the whole video, jasonmatthewg17@gmail.com. If you have any grammar questions, or if you wish to participate in a 10 to 15 minute video consult, or if you wish to apply for a correct grammar workshop, you can email me there. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and also my Coral Blade Grotto channel, if you'd like. And always remember that authority comes from knowledge and the skill in conveying that knowledge and closure. Thanks.